How is he a plus 15? That's insane.
No idea.
That was probably all carried by the first half. All
Yeah.
right, let me tweet it out then.
All right.
We'll get going. Dude, people were tweeting out that like the series was already over after the first half. Like, you guys have not
I
watched the
know.
Nuggets.
I know.
You guys have not paid attention to how Denver's played this entire
Yeah.
season.
Literally, I was feeling it. Like I was feeling like, Timberwolves are gonna come back at some point, make a
Yeah.
run, and then it'll be close.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Sideline. My name is Rishioza,
My name's Asher Hire.
and we got a lot to talk about. First two games of the playoffs for, I think, every series has been completed. We're going to talk about the Nuggets in this one. Their game just finished. 122-113 win over Minnesota. They take a 2-0 series lead for the first time in the Jokic era, which is pretty hard to believe considering they've been a 1 seed now, a 2 seed, and a 3 seed twice. And this is the first time they've ever gone up 2-0. So we'll talk about that. What were your thoughts on game one? Like, what did you think what happened to Minnesota in game one? Because it was a completely different team to what was today.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like Minnesota's offensive game plan, first of all, was horrendous. Like I get the Nuggets defense was good, but like I mean scoring 80 points is the Timberwolves season low this season. Yeah, that makes sense. But
Yeah.
and so like their offensive game plan compared with the Nuggets defense, which was really good, I think was like led to them scoring 80 points because there were times in that first game, which is what they kind of exploited again tonight, especially Anthony Edwards, where like Edwards in the pick and roll and heading downhill is pretty hard for the Nuggets to stop because they have their best perimeter defenders, Aaron Gordon on Towns. And then like you can switch with KCP, Jamal Murray on Edwards. But Edwards, if he gets around a good screen with Gobert or Towns, who are huge, and he heads downhill like he did tonight, that's when they scored a little bit in that first game, but then they went like completely away from it and no movement, no pick and rolls really, and that's when they couldn't score.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but then obviously a great showing by the Nuggets on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that was a statement game Denver needed in game one. Kind of like they took their opponent seriously and they showed it, and they proved to like themselves, obviously, but they proved to like the rest of the NBA world, like, hey, like we're not like we're a different team than what we showed the last month of the season. I feel like that last game kind of proved is like, okay, these guys have another gear that they just haven't been showing, because like this is, I feel like something that's been underrated that hasn't been talked about that much in terms of the Nuggets is this is their first healthy playoff run since 2019. Even the bubble run, they weren't healthy. Gary Harris missed the first 5 games of that Utah series, and Will Barton, who was the Nuggets' second best player in the regular season that year, he missed the entire playoff. He wasn't there for any of it. And then obviously the season after the bubble, Murray, Barton, Peter Dozier, everybody, it gets injured. The next season, it's MPJ and Murray still. Like there's like this is the first season Denver has had fully healthy. So they were just playing it as cautiously as possible. And they played it perfectly. But this game 2 is stressful. I'm not gonna lie. Game 2 is stressful. It was not the most, it wasn't as entertaining to watch as the first one. Denver's defense in that third quarter was awful. Like it was put to the level where it looked like they were just trying not to get injured.
Yeah.
Like they was just straight line drives, no physicality at the point of attack. And Anthony Edwards was just getting whatever he wanted. That was the biggest issue. But in the fourth quarter, they cleaned it up. I think this was a game that Denver needed, though. Like they needed a game where they kind of got hit in the mouth to kind of bring them back down to earth and make them realize, like, okay, it's not going to be as easy as game one.
Right. Right. Yeah. And then on Minnesota's sides of things, like I think one of the announcers said it last night, but it's like he would rather get blown out in game one than lose like a demoralizing game.
Mhm.
Um, because like then you don't feel like you tried your best and you still lost or whatever. This time it does feel like this was Minnesota pretty much at their best. Um, I would say I know Towns only had 10 points. He only took 5 threes though, so I mean, and he hit 2 of them. So if he took more attempts from three, maybe it'd be a different story. But like Anthony Edwards was lights out in the second half,
Yeah.
like mid-range, getting to the rim and 3-point shooting, all three levels. He was amazing. Um, and Gobert, I thought actually played pretty well, 19 points, 8 rebounds, and had some solid defensive possessions on Jokic. Jokic
Mhm.
got him a few times as well, like he always does against Gobert, but Gobert did shut him down a couple times. So,
Yeah.
I
No,
mean, I thought they played well.
yeah, Gobert. I mean, it wasn't covered a lot, but he said he was obviously suspended for that playing game against Minnesota, but he said like he probably wouldn't have played regardless because of his back injury. Um, and I feel like it was very apparent in that game one, like he was just not moving properly at all. Like he was so stiff. This game, it was like night and day. He was moving so much better, laterally and vertically as well. Like he was getting so much higher on his dunks,
Yeah,
so much higher on his shot block attempts. Definitely a much better game from Gobert. Like this was as good as I've seen Gobert play in a Wolves uniform. I want to talk about the man of the hour for Denver, at least Murray. This was this was as vintage of a like a I don't want to say bubble Murray because like he's been good in the playoffs regardless
yeah.
of that run, but
I
like
know we need to switch. Everyone keeps saying bubble Murray. It just needs to be like playoff
it just
Murray.
needs to be playoff Murray. Yeah, no, you're right. Playoff Murray was out in full effect. I saw StatMuse put out a tweet and it was in 410 regular season games. Jamal Murray has 4 career 40-point games, and in 34 playoff games he has 4, which is no, he has 5. Sorry, he has 5
Damn.
because he had
Wow.
42 against Utah in game 5. He had the 2 50-point games, and he had 40 in game 7. He had 40 now. He is as elite of a playoff performer as you're going to find in the NBA, especially as a second option. Like, I don't know if there's like Chris Middleton might be the only guy who you can put up with Jamal Murray as a second option in terms of playoff performances because he always brings it. Like, Jokic did not have it today. The title of this video is Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. because I thought they were the 2 most important players for Denver today. Like, Jokic just straight up did not have it. Like he was really getting frustrated with the officiating. He was letting Gobert's physicality get to him. He was expecting a whistle when one really wasn't going to come ever. And he let it get to him, which is like say Jokic didn't have it. He had 27, 9, and 9 on 10 of 19 shooting. Like he was still very good, but you could definitely tell something was up. And that wrist is starting to become an issue as well.
Yeah, like 6 for 9 from the free throw line. That's when it feels like something's always off.
Mhm.
Like his wrist is injured, which has been going on for the past couple seasons now, the whole wrist thing. And you like notice it at the free throw line. Like when he's good at the free throw line, he's healthy. When he's missing a lot, then you know something is up. Um, I was happy to see him hit that three at the end of the shot clock buzzer.
Mhm.
I was like, all right, you know, he has some of his touch back, but I feel like you can. I mean, I know he hasn't really taken many. Like he's definitely stepped back on the amount of mid-range attempts he takes, especially like facing up. He now really does go like back to the basket and then just does a little baby hook after a couple of shimmies and stuff. But um, like I don't know. I feel like he had a lot of chances to when he was facing up Gobert, just like take a shot right in front of his face. And you
Yeah.
know, a couple seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, he was like automatic at that shot. And I just haven't really seen it this year. I don't know if that's a confidence thing with the wrist or if it's just
I
something.
I think it's the risk because like his first
Yeah,
MVP season, he was taking as many mid ranges as we've seen from him, and then last season in 21-22, he he injured that wrist early on in the regular season, and he just like never took jumpers after he came back. Like
yeah,
he rarely took threes, a 3-point percentage tank. He was still uber efficient, but it was because he was taking so many layups and hook shots and getting in the post. And with how good Nuggets spacing is this season, he didn't really have to take any jumpers, but I would definitely like to see him take more mid ranges because that opens up the offense so much more. It forces them to play so far into like Gobert was just playing so far off of Jokic the entire time, and Jokic was playing into Gobert's strengths, which is just body you up and use Gobert's length to just kind of like stay over you the entire time.
Yeah.
So I would like to see Jokic over the next few games of the series to try and take more jumpers, not necessarily threes, but like a baseline mid range or a free throw line jumper, something like that. Because that's always been part of his like bread and butter, but he hasn't been doing it at all this season.
Right. And I agree with you. Like with the title, I thought MPJ was the spark plug absolutely that they needed in the fourth quarter. I don't know how many points he had before the fourth quarter, but I feel like
he had 3.
Okay, and then he had 13 in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was right after Minnesota's huge third quarter where it's like, damn, like it's a close game, but it feels like the Timberwolves have all the momentum. Could they just like ride this out through the fourth quarter? But MPJ came in, hit that 4-point play straight away, and was just absolutely phenomenal in like sealing this win.
Yeah. I mean, he was in foul trouble early, had 3 fouls in the first half. Some really soft calls. Like the referees in this game definitely interjected a bit too much. I mean, on both ends. Like Minnesota got the benefit of a lot of calls, a lot of soft ones, specifically on Gordon and Porter, and then Jokic got a couple of soft ones from Gobert and Towns. And the referees interjected a little bit too much in this one. And then they weren't involved enough, like in the it was weird, but like MPJ was not involved at all until the fourth quarter. But yeah, he was like his stretch. He scored 8 straight to open the fourth quarter, and that like saved the game for Denver because if that doesn't happen, they're screwed. And this was a different bench lineup than what we saw in game 1 because what Malone has been doing, this is something he's been doing since the regular season. When Murray is hot, he won't take him out, and Murray won't stagger with the bench because he'll play him the entire first and the entire third. And obviously with Murray having 40 points, like that's what he was doing. And it led to MPJ being the second starter along with Gordon on the bench. And with the foul trouble didn't allow him to do anything in the first half, but like they needed a score because that bench without Murray has no offense normally. Like if it's a normal bench stagger with just Aaron Gordon as the bench 5 and slot Christian Brown in for MPJ, there's no offense. There's like nothing half court. It's all defense and it's all transition play. So MPJ being able to create just something in the half court was huge. Like that it truly did save the game because Denver was dead in the water until those shots, and it got the crowd into it. It got the momentum back in their favor. Yeah. You go from down 2 to up 6 like in an instant just because of MPJ.
Yeah. And then MPJ kind of handed it off to Murray to really close out the game. And that was just like you can feel it with Jamal. Like when he's on fire and you just know he's going to pull up because so many times he's like hesitant a little bit with the 3 or if he's open to take a shot, he's sometimes a little hesitant for whatever reason, but when he's feeling it, he lets it fly and he's like hunting for that shot. He's using Jokic beautifully getting around the screen. And then he had that step back on Conley for 3, which felt so much like bubble Murray. I guess. But this matchup was like completely reminiscent of Mitchell and Murray.
Yeah.
That Jazz series with Edwards having 41. And they shot basically like the same. They both shot 6 for 10 from 3. Edwards 7 of 8 from free throw line. Murray 8 of 9. Like Edwards 14 of 23. Murray 13 of 22. They played like the same exact game. It felt like.
But, yeah, I absolutely love Anthony Edwards. I think he should be the man in Minnesota. Like he should be the number 1 guy. Karl Anthony Towns. I think he's an incredibly talented player, but I just don't think he's built for big time games. That's my I don't even think that's a hot take because every time he's been in the playoff, like last year in the playoffs, he had a couple of good games. Like game 1 against Memphis was good. I think game 4 against Memphis was good, but like when when his shot isn't falling, he does not impact the game in any other way. In any other way, he's a bad defender. He fouls. I think he has the worst body language on the court I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like it is unbelievable. Like I when he is on and when he's engaged, he's great because when he's engaged, he is a good defender because he is super athletic and long and he uses his skills really well. But when he's not scoring, he just turns his brain off and then he's completely unimpactful in the game. Like today, I mean, he should, like when the momentum was going in Minnesota's favor, he should be demanding the ball, saying, "Let me go at Aaron Gordon. He has 4 fouls. Let me go at him. Let me back him down." Because that's what he should do. He has at least 4 inches on Aaron Gordon. Like it should not be hard for him to back him down. But the reason why Denver is able to shut Karl-Anthony Towns down is because whenever he's faced with a physical, undersized player, he can't do anything against it. And that was the exact same formula they used last year with Kyle Anderson on him. And it's what Denver's doing right now. And, they have to have Anthony Edwards go ballistic for them to have a chance because Karl-Anthony Towns isn't going to do anything if he's not making his shots, it's really unfortunate because he's such a talented player.
Right. It felt like a couple of years ago. I guess, I don't know. I guess kind of before this injury, but he was such a good, like, back to the basket post player. And would do those like mid-range fadeaways that seemed like they were automatic every time. And he doesn't really ever take the mid-range anymore. It's either a 3 or he pump fakes a 3 and then drives to the rim and then either turns the ball over or like throws up some crazy floater that probably won't go in. Like I don't know what happened with all that. 5 turnovers. His passing was really bad. Anytime the Nuggets, had him either stuck in the post or had him doubled in the post and he was looking to pass, like holding the ball out like Jokic, like water polo style, and he would just turn the ball over. After that. So
one of the other, like, Towns almost always takes like the Jokic matchup personally. Like he really tries super hard. I haven't seen that effort at all through these first 2 games. Like he has not wanted to once go at Jokic and like force a Jokic matchup. He hasn't once tried to guard Jokic one-on-one without help. Like, yeah, he's the matchup on Jokic, but they're always sending a double with Gordon or off of Gordon with Gobert or Kyle Anderson or whoever. Like they're never letting him guard him one-on-one. But Karl-Anthony Towns historically plays well against Denver because he goes super, super try hard against them. And like that's what you want with your best player. But
I think like the Timberwolves adding Gobert makes this a worse matchup for them. Like for the Nuggets, because Jokic can just sit and Jokic has no problem with the really unskilled big men in the league, like who have like no touch. He has no problem defending them without fouling or whatever, and does a really good job really against them. And so when he can just sit back and guard Gobert like that, instead of having to go out to the perimeter and guard Towns like he's had to do in the past few years when Towns was the true 5. Now it feels like Towns is the more like stretch 4. And maybe that's why he hasn't really had opportunities to back his way into the basket, because Gobert is kind of clogging the lane. Because Gobert can't stretch out, obviously. So it's super easy matchup or super good matchup for Jokic defensively. Because he can just sit back there with Gobert. And like we see him having harder times with, obviously has a hard time with Embiid, has a hard time with Ayton, who just has a little bit of a mid-range shot.
Just make him defend out in space. Make Jokic get on the move. Jokic can just be a statue in the paint because he knows there's no threat for him to come out. Like if Gobert's involved in the pick and roll, Jokic goes out and hedges, but there's no urgency for him to get back to the paint because he's like, if Michael Porter Jr. is the low man, I have confidence that he's not gonna be able to score. But I agreed. Like this Denver, the Wolves Nuggets matchup, it's better for Minnesota, like defensively. Like I think it's not a very easy matchup for the Nuggets on offense, but defensively it plays in their hands perfectly. The only real weak spot that Denver has is Anthony Edwards. Like they don't have I think KCP is a great defender, but Anthony Edwards is just way too physical. Like KCP is not as big as Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards loves getting your getting his body into. He loves initiating contact. KCP is just not big enough to be able to stop that. Which is why I was very confused why Christian Brown only got 7 minutes today
Mhm.
in a game when, like, in the third quarter, Denver's defense they were letting everything go through. And I understand wanting, like, and honestly, like, it was good that they took Christian Brown out for Michael Porter Jr. because Michael Porter Jr. was a spark plug. But for me, I would have taken Jeff Green out and
Yeah.
kept Christian Brown in, because you need some defense at the point of attack. And Jeff Green, all three of Karl Anthony Towns' baskets were all Jeff Green's fault. Like, it was him falling asleep at the 3-point line, or it was him falling asleep on a cut, and Karl Anthony Towns or a straight line drive for Cat just getting straight to the rim. Like, Jeff Green, he's been fine defensively in big games. Like, he genuinely does get up for big games. But I feel like he's just, like, Christian Brown has proven that he deserves to be able to play in the playoff game. And it wasn't a coincidence that he played a ton in their last game, and Minnesota only scored 80, and now plays 7 minutes and Minnesota scores 113. Like, that's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
So
Like Jeff Green has been, I think, like really good on ball defensively
yeah.
against Towns, really gets into Towns when he's spotting up for three, and makes Towns drive and really, like, Jeff Green doesn't get pushed around by Towns, but off the ball, yeah, he falls asleep. 0 rebounds again. Like, I feel like this always comes up with Jeff Green. He's the biggest guy off the bench, and he just does not rebound the ball. And he got, completely manhandled by, like, I think it was Towns or maybe it was Gobert on a rebound, trying to box him out, and Jeff Green gets destroyed on the glass. But and then, like, Christian Brown plays 7 minutes and he's got 2 rebounds.
Yeah.
Green 26 minutes, 0 rebounds. And so, like, I think the off the ball kind of, laziness, I guess, but it's not laziness. I mean, he's old, so, like, I don't know, but
It's just unawareness. Like, he just
yeah,
doesn't. He's not a very aware off ball defender.
yeah.
But I
So,
agree
like,
that, like, on ball he's great.
so that unawareness on defense, I think, like, Christian Brown's point of attack defense outweighs the offense Jeff Green can bring on some nights,
Yeah.
I guess. So
Yeah. And
I don't know.
think
I mean, he was a plus 15. It felt like he was really bad.
yeah, I thought in the second half he was rough. Well, I mean, to be fair, everyone in the third quarter was horrendous. Like, that was one of the worst quarters I think Denver's played all season. But I think an adjustment that you could make going forward, instead of playing 8-man, maybe you put in Zeke Naji to play that bench 5.
Right.
Because, like, Aaron Gordon in 2 games has gotten into foul trouble, which is to be expected. Like, as much as he does bother Karl Anthony Towns, he is smaller, and Karl Anthony Towns is bigger than him. Like, he's gonna draw fouls. Aaron Gordon's going to get into foul trouble. He's the one guarding Towns and Gobert, like, full time every single time he's on the court. Minnesota does not go small at all. So, like, it's understandable for him to be in foul trouble, but for you to negate that a little bit, maybe get some Zeke Naji minutes in there. Like, you take Aaron Gordon out at, like, the 7-minute mark, play Zeke Naji for, like, not the rest of I mean, maybe take Gordon out at, like, the 5-minute mark, play Zeke Naji those other 5 minutes, and then get Aaron Gordon back in to start the second quarter. Like, just to, get some minutes off the legs of Gordon, to just get another body there to absorb contact, absorb fouls. Because I think this would be a good matchup for Zeke Naji as well.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Like,
I was
I'm
just
confused
about
as
to
to
say
why
that.
then, like, I like that they're shortening the rotation. Like, I think that that's something that Malone hasn't done in the past, and I think it's a good adjustment. And they're up 2-0, like, it's working. But I'm kind of surprised, especially with the way Zeke Naji ended the regular season. I thought he played really well.
Yeah.
And I thought it warranted him at least getting some minutes in this one, especially when they're trying to, they're running all these switches in small ball. Like, why not play your small ball 5?
Right.
But, like,
Right.
maybe
Like,
10 minutes a game just to take some pressure off of Aaron Gordon, because he's gotten 5 fouls in each of the last 2 games.
yeah.
So just a little bit less pressure on him defensively, because he's so important.
I thought this was perfect for Zeke too. Like going against Towns, I feel like Zeke would match up pretty well against Towns defensively. On the perimeter, he's pretty quick, and then, if Towns is out of the game and like Kyle Anderson's in, then Zeke could also take Kyle Anderson. Like he just seems like he has a lot of favorable matchups defensively. And obviously he's not a great rebounder, but he's better than Jeff Green.
Yeah.
And I think defensively off the ball, he's better than Jeff Green. He can come over and block a shot. So yeah, and he can stretch the floor. I mean, I think I would rather take him shooting a three over Jeff Green. They've both been pretty rough this season, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, I felt like this was like the perfect opportunity for Zeke. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised. I don't know. Maybe we'll see an adjustment on the road. Because Minnesota's like, I mean, there's always the saying like the series doesn't start until the road team wins the game.
Right.
So Minnesota's still in the series. They still have 2 home games. You know, they're a different team at home. Um, like they're 20 and 21 away from home. Like they're not that good of a road team, but at home, what is I can't really do the math. Hold on.
22 and 19. Yeah.
I think. Wait, why can't I see this? Sorry.
It is 22 and 19.
22 and 19. But they're a different team at home. Like they play different. The crowd's gonna be into it. Like I was talking with my friends, like I thought that if if Denver was able to hold that huge lead and blow out Minnesota in this game, then I thought the series would have been over. Because you go back, maybe Minnesota gets another game, but Denver's gonna win. Like they're coming back to Denver up 3-1 at the very least, if Minnesota wins one game. Because I just thought their morale would have been so dead, especially if you win
Yeah.
game 3, like that series is done. But if they're able to find something offensively, find some sort of rhythm, find something that works, like get one of your players going, one of your stars going, then you're gonna have a chance to at least at home win a game or two and make it so Denver has to work when they get back for game 5. So that's I still think Minnesota. Do I think they're gonna win the series? No. But do I think that they're dead in the water? Absolutely not. Like Denver just did what they're supposed to do. They won their 2 games at home. Obviously they beat up on them game 1, but Minnesota had a chance in this game. Like they definitely had a chance. If Michael Porter Jr. doesn't have a really really incredible fourth quarter, Minnesota probably takes this game. Like I'm not gonna lie, like that was the turning point of the
Yeah.
game.
Yeah, and now they definitely have found something offensively. Like
Mhm.
they're going to take everything they did in the third quarter and try to replicate that. They only scored 24 in the fourth, so like the Nuggets maybe just lost a lot of focus coming
Yeah,
out of halftime because you're like, oh, we blew them out the first game. We're up 15 or whatever it was at halftime. And then they just take their foot off the gas, and then Minnesota comes out and scores 40 and says they're not done. But so maybe it's like a combination of that and the Wolves offense just being good. Because the Nuggets have played 7 of 8 quarters have been phenomenal
yeah,
defensively.
yeah,
With Jokic on the court for like all those minutes basically.
yeah,
Which is funny because everyone was just whatever saying that Edwards is just going to destroy him in the pick and roll. But
yeah,
anyways, Minnesota did find something there in the third quarter that was a little similar to when they were decent offensively in the first game. Because none of it was good, but they were okay for like the first 6 minutes
yeah,
of the game, and then
yeah,
after.
yeah. Yeah, this is. I thought KCP had a less than stellar game. He had a great game 1, less than stellar game 2. Some of the shots he took were kind of funny, some really really weird shots.
Mhm.
But same with Bruce Brown. Started off the game really well, but second half he definitely told off. That bench I still think is huge for Denver. Like it's kind of weird that the bench in these 2 games has been an overwhelming positive. Like they have been overwhelmingly good, and they have won the non-Jokic minutes by a pretty significant amount. Like they were +6 in this game in the first half. The third quarter probably mucked up the stats, but I know in the fourth quarter they were definitely up positive before Jokic came back in. And then obviously in game 1, they were positive the entire time. So that bench, it's working, but I would just like to see a little bit more tweaks. Yeah, I understand that if Murray's hot, you don't want to take him out in the first quarter, but like you need some ball handling, scoring presence. Like Bruce Brown in this game, I thought in the third and fourth quarter really, really struggled with the on-ball pressure
Yeah.
with Mike Conley, Kyle Anderson, Anthony Edwards. So that's another adjustment I would make. It's definitely not a point for Reggie Jackson to come in. Like I don't think it's that bad, but if you're gonna stagger Murray at some point, if he's not having to start like this game where he's at like 15, 16 points in the first quarter, I think Murray definitely has to be that first guy, or at least the first starter to stagger with the bench, because I don't think Bruce Brown can handle point guard responsibilities in the playoffs, especially
Yeah.
with that much ball pressure. I mean, it showed in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it's going to be like that consistently.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think like how much Bruce Brown really means to this team. Like I always feel like when Bruce Brown is playing well, the Nuggets are like blowing teams out, and he was amazing in the first game. If he's hitting down his 3-point shots and getting into you defensively and cutting back door, and even taking someone off the dribble because he's so fast, he can get to the rim. Um, when he's doing stuff like that, like it feels like the Nuggets are just rolling. Like they got their bench figured out, and then he comes in with the starters, and plays really well with them also. Um, but when he's struggling, like it seems like it just piles on with him. Like 0 for 3 from three, and then he had that stupid take foul after a turnover.
Yeah.
Wasn't very good defensively. Like when he has a bad game, it seems like every facet of his game is bad, and that's when other teams really take advantage of that Denver bench. And it felt like he was. I know he was a plus 16, but he was pretty bad.
Yeah, in the second half,
Yeah.
it was tough. Like a couple of his buckets, in the first half came off him getting a steal and being, having intensity at the point of attack. That's something that I don't understand defensively from the team in general. Like their intensity falls off so quickly defensively
Yeah.
at some points. Like when Bruce Brown is engaged defensively, like he's picking you up at half court. He's making you fight through screens as a ball handler. Like he's getting through everything. He's, swiping at the ball. He's not fouling. That's what he has to do as a guy who's kind of undersized guarding big guards. But in the third quarter, like he wasn't pressuring at all. He was, going under screens on Edwards and on Conley when they were making threes. And it didn't make a ton of sense what was happening. So the intensity fluctuates so much for Denver defensively. Like they have to find a gear to where they don't have to, because if they're giving 100%, they're going to be gassed. Like you could tell Murray at the end of the game was gassed. You could tell Jokic he was kind of struggling a little bit. But I think you got to find a happy middle ground where you're content with somebody taking the shots. Like you got to take away some things, but you can't let Anthony Edwards in the third quarter, everything was just straight downhill. They weren't stopping anything. Like there were a couple possessions where like they would go under the screen, Anthony Edwards would attack the ball, and then it looked like they would just switch it immediately, but they were playing drop. So like the big man isn't going to be up at the screen to switch that regardless. So Anthony Edwards had a straight line drive to the rim. It was just really, really weird. Just really, really weird. That intensity is like the biggest thing I think for Denver defensively that they have to key in on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think they do sacrifice some offense too, like as you said, with them being gassed and stuff, like because their offense wasn't very good game one. Only 108 points, and they just whatever. It wasn't great. But they played super good defense. So it does feel like, yeah, maybe they do get a little gassed if they're super intense defensively. And that's probably just something that Malone kept like ramming into their head, going into it. It's like it's gonna be all about the defense, like he always says.
Yeah.
And so then they come out game one, super intense defensively, and then can't really score, and then this game they're pretty good offensively, and not so great defensively.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Nuggets clutch time offense definitely shut out again. Like we haven't seen it in a while from Denver. Like they just haven't played clutch games since like February, it seems like either they're getting blown out or they're blowing another team out. Like that was all that it was in March. So it was nice to see that they still had rhythm in the clutch, and especially defensively. I thought they really were able to like key in. Anthony Edwards wasn't get. I mean, he was just hitting some tough shots. Like when
Yeah.
he gets going, he gets going. He's one of the most entertaining players to watch when he is really, really going. He's one of my favorite players just in general. Like the way that he talks about he's not even 100% right now. Like he's clearly injured, but you haven't heard a single peep about hit from him, from the team, or anything. Like he's not using any excuses, and he's still putting up 41.
Yeah.
But
I thought I don't know if you heard it, but like when he was backing down Bruce Brown and he gave the Wolves the lead, like on a turnaround
yeah,
jumper, and he like yelled right as he released the ball.
yeah,
It was like, woo! That was like,
yeah.
yeah. And then it switched in. Yeah.
He's like, I thought that was someone underneath the basket, but then people on Twitter were saying like, "Oh, Anthony Edwards just called his shot for a win." And I was like, "Okay, that was definitely him."
Yeah. I thought it was a fan too, but like I don't know, like that came right away. So I'm like, he probably just knew it was in.
Yeah, he's so good. He's incredible. He was very deservingly an all-star this season, but like, and last season in the playoffs as well, he had a phenomenal playoff run. Like, he is genuinely a stud. But going back to my point about the clutch time, like they were spreading the ball around. Michael Porter Jr. had a couple of buckets in clutch time. Aaron Gordon had a lob from Jokic in clutch time. Jokic had a bucket. Obviously, with Murray was going ballistic. That offense, I feel like you just need to see more. Like MPJ scored 8 straight to open the fourth, and then he missed like one really tough three, like a heat check, and then he didn't touch the ball again until like 3 minutes left in the fourth. And I was like, what just happened? Like this is the one main option offensively that you were going, and then he just got completely frozen out. And then eventually, like Anthony Edwards, he hit that shot and they took the lead, and I don't think MPJ touched the ball until after that, which is really, really weird. Like he needs like 15 shots at least. He only took 7 today, which was by far like that was Jeff Green took as many shots as Mike Porter Jr. Bruce Brown took as many shots as Mike Porter Jr. So
And like
I just
what,
think he needs to be much more involved.
he probably took like 5 of those shots in the fourth.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. But
Yeah.
they got the win though. That's did their job. 2-0. Good feeling, especially as you said, like this is the first time we've experienced like a 2-0 lead. Seems like all these series is like it always goes to a game 7 in the Jokic era.
Yeah. They've not won a series in under 6 games. The Portland series they haven't been it's like the Warriors series was the only one that they were in where it didn't even go past 6, which is insane. Like
it didn't go past 5.
Yeah, that one went to 5. But that count that I don't even like count that series as real.
I
like
know.
That,
Right?
like that was such a it wasn't fake because the Warriors are good, but that's why like I just don't even like think about that as a real series that happened in my mind. Because what chance do the Nuggets have? Like
I mean, you see like clips of that and you see the players out on the court and it's insane. Like I mean, it's a complete roster turnover. And
I know.
it's like all these players are just terrible. So many of them don't get any minutes or are literally out of the league. Like two of the Nuggets like main bench players that year are out of the league. And
like
then,
their starting point guard was Monte Morris. He was fine in Washington.
Yeah, Will Barton's literally probably like the worst player in the NBA. And he was the worst player in the NBA, feels like last year.
Yeah, he was not great.
So
like that series, I don't even like think that series was real. Like so ever since the Nuggets have had like a half healthy roster, I'll say that. Like they've had at least a competent second option next to Jokic. It's been 6 games at least. So it would be nice for Denver, and especially like I was talking about this last night. If just looking forward, I know Denver hasn't won this series yet, and Phoenix is far from winning theirs, but Phoenix is running their starters like 45, 46 minutes a game right now. Like Monty Williams does not have anybody on his bench that he trusts. So to me, if Denver's able to get out of this series in 4 games, 5 games, and that Phoenix series goes 6 or 7, which it's looking like that might be the case, like, and they're still running their starters like 43 minutes a game, their legs are going to be gone by the time a game 4 or game 5 comes by. Like their legs are going to be completely shot. And I think that's like something to definitely keep an eye on if you're a Nuggets fan. Like watching Phoenix's starters, their numbers. Like Devin Booker will be fine. He's like 26. Like his legs will regenerate a lot faster. But Kevin Durant's like 35 years old. He's not going to keep being able to play 46 minutes a night in the playoffs. Like that's just not going to be able to happen. Chris Paul is 37. He can't keep playing 40 minutes a game. Like those guys are going to start to wear down a little bit. So that's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I'm starting to really like this Phoenix Denver matchup for the Nuggets. Because like the way that Phoenix plays, nobody on their team gets to the rim. Literally nobody.
No,
like
it's straight jumpers.
DeAndre Ayton does not want to get to the rim, and he's 7 feet tall. Chris Paul has made 12 baskets at the rim all this whole season.
Yeah.
Durant doesn't go to the rim anymore. His handle has gotten worse, and Booker doesn't go to the rim really ever. And so like, and that's the main weakness, right? With the Nuggets is the interior defense. And so if you're forcing all these mid-range jumpers, which like granted, yeah, they are 3 of like the top 10 best mid-range jumpers, could even be 3 of the top 5 best mid-range jumpers in basketball, but it's still a fairly inefficient shot. It's not like any of them shoot, or maybe I guess Durant shoots over 50% from the mid-range area probably, but Chris Paul doesn't and Booker doesn't. And so like it's still a relatively inefficient shot. And if none of those shots are going in for the players at one point, like then the Suns can't score.
Yeah.
Because there's no rim attacking presence on their entire team.
Yeah.
And so like I think that's a huge plus for the Nuggets.
Like through wait, no, keep going.
I was just gonna say, like, people are gonna say, like, oh, but didn't Chris Paul destroy Jokic in the playoffs with him just shooting mid-range jumpers? It's like, yeah, but Jokic was playing this like terrible drop coverage, and they're not gonna do the same.
Yeah,
thing
again. They're not gonna do that. Like
I don't think. And
the
plus,
Clippers
Chris Paul is a little washed too.
The Clippers were playing drop against Chris Paul in the fourth quarter last night, and it like just completely backfired. Like Chris Paul is definitely not the same that he was the last 2 seasons. Like it is very apparent, but he's still Chris. Like you can't give him exactly the same right elbow mid-range jumper off of 2 dribbles that he's shot for 17 years. Like I understand that like it's still his pedigree is too high for you to just keep on giving him that. So I definitely do not expect Denver to play drop like consistently against Phoenix like they did last year, or last time, because that was one of the most hellish experiences I think I've ever had watching basketball. It was just the right elbow was just every single time. It was Chris Paul getting a switch and just shooting from the right elbow every single time. It was insane. But I was gonna say,
you can just exactly see like how he shoots that in your head.
It was so bad.
I was gonna say camera angle. I know what it looks like.
Phoenix in the first 2 games, they're shooting like 31 for 50 from mid-range, something like that. And then their last game, they shot 21 of 27 from mid-range. Like that is insane. 21 of 27 is stupid. Like, and but like that's their game. That's what they're gonna shoot. Like you said, none of their players go to the rim. Even on the bench, like Campaign is not like he's not a guy who's gonna put a lot of pressure on the rim. Terrence Ross isn't a guy who's gonna put pressure on the rim. Landry Shamet isn't a guy who's gonna put pressure on the rim. Like Biyombo, I guess, is like the one rim presence on the team. But it's like you're okay with like letting that happen if everybody else you're gonna keep contained on the perimeter. So, and once again, like Phoenix could very easily lose that series. Like it is up in the air right now with how good Kawhi Leonard is playing and with how good Russell Westbrook has looked through the first couple of games. It has been like complete opposite ends of the Russell Westbrook spectrum for 2 games, but overall he's been very good. But like that, I think Denver would be very content with whichever team comes out. But I mean, playing playoff Kawhi would be horrifying.
I know that'd be scary, and plus they would probably get PG.
Yeah, they'll get Paul George back.
And so, like with them beating like the stacked Suns team with no PG would really say something. And I think I think the Clippers have like found something with Westbrook. I think he's given them a ton of life, and Eric Gordon's played well for
Mhm.
them shooting the ball at least.
Norman Powell's been really, really big.
Yeah, and Bones, like at the end of the regular season, was really good too. He hasn't really done anything in his first two playoff games, but like Clippers are tough.
Yeah,
And they're deep. And
yeah,
like, I mean, Covington hasn't even played. I don't know why he doesn't play because I feel like he's always pretty good, but
yeah, yeah. No, the Clippers. I think they found something in that last game against Denver, like playing super, super small. And like I feel like players from Denver have improved. I think Michael Porter Jr. has been better since that game. Jamal Murray has looked better and better since that game. So like there are different circumstances than then, but like they would just front Jokic with Batum. They would go small, no Zubats, no Plumlee. They would front
yeah,
Batum, and Denver's offense like completely stalled in that game. Like they couldn't get anything done when they were fronting Jokic. It was like it wasn't necessarily a box and one, but they would just rotate off of Jokic. They would not let him get the ball. And I think they found something. They didn't run it a ton in that game because I think they realized like this might be a playoff matchup. We don't want too much film on it. But hopefully Denver figured it out because like every other team after that game ran that exact same scheme and Denver sucked at it. Like Brooklyn ran it and it was the Denver could not figure it out. And then like New York ran it a ton as well. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that the Western playoffs are like they have a chance to be some of the best playoffs like ever. Like every single series is going to be good. None of the series are going to be easy. As a basketball fan, I don't think you could have asked for anything better.
Yeah, the parity is crazy, and like
Mhm.
it's crazy how every team absolutely sucked on the road this year, but then in the playoffs, like the Clippers won their road game, and then in the there were like three road games that won on the same night that Denver won.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Heat won
The Lakers
and
won,
the Lakers, yeah.
Miami won, and
New
then the
York,
Clippers or yeah, the Clippers won. Yeah,
New York won, right?
New York as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really weird, very very odd. Same thing with hockey. Yesterday, every single road team won.
That is
Very
weird.
odd, very very odd. No, these West playoffs have a chance to be really good. I'm excited. I gotta go soon, but before I do go, I did a show by myself Sunday, Saturday, maybe. But no, it was Friday. But right before the playing game, I kind of did my predictions. What's your predictions for the finals, Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals? Like, who do you think is gonna make it?
All right. So I haven't really thought about it, but
And it's gonna be different. Like the amount of injuries that have happened too. It's probably changed. Like it's definitely changed my expectations of what's gonna
right,
happen. So I
right.
made it before the playoffs started Saturday. Then Giannis goes down, he's injured. Jamal Morant's injured. Tyler Hero's injured. Like I don't know what's happening. So
Yeah, I kind of get a little bit of like a head start on this.
yeah.
Because like now it looks like the Kings will probably win that series when it was up in the air for everyone before. Right. I'll say, I mean, the Nuggets, I'll put them in the finals, and that means the Western Conference Finals. I think they do
Mhm.
get out of the West. That sounds like so biased, but I don't really.
I had them out of it too. I did
Okay.
it like I tried to hide my bias because I did it. I talked about the matchups, but
Yeah.
just watching them as
But
much as we have.
since we're doing this quick, I'll just like say the teams, I guess. I'll go Nuggets. Dude, oh my God. Do I want to be like one of these like people who picks the Lakers? I don't know. I don't know. Because the Lakers are like, I want the Nuggets to play the Lakers. Because like I still don't think they're that good, but I don't know. Damn. All right. I'm going Nuggets, Grizzlies, Western Conference Finals.
Oh, okay.
Um, and then Eastern, I'll go like I mean Bucks Celtics is boring, but that's probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'll go Bucks in the finals, Nuggets, Bucks.
That's my prediction too. I had Nuggets Bucks as well.
And
It's weird because it's like
did you
it's a
say
1-1
a
matchup.
winner?
Hmm?
Did you pick a winner?
I had Nuggets.
Okay.
Once again, it's because like Nuggets versus Milwaukee is a matchup that I actually really like for Denver. Like I think if those two matched up, I do think Denver would win. It's different because like we haven't seen obviously you haven't seen playoff Giannis, playoff Chris Middleton against the Nuggets, so it would be different from what we've seen in the regular season. But from what we have seen in the regular season, from like a 4-year sample size, Denver just annihilates Milwaukee every time they play when they're healthy. So
Yeah.
that's my prediction.
I feel like the Grizzlies pick is kind of a rare one, but like I think the Grizzlies are like really like good. 35-6 at home. And like Jaren
Yeah.
Jackson's offensive game has taken another step. He had like I think 31 in the first game and they
Yeah.
lost, but obviously they're really good defensively, and then their offense, their half court offense has been better than it was pre All-Star break. And then they win without Ja.
Again,
Again.
it's so like it's a significant amount of games now to where you're like, what? This isn't a coincidence.
No, I know.
There's 2 playoff wins now without him too. Like that's not a coincidence. It's like obviously John Morant is good, and obviously the Grizzlies are better with him there, but they just win without him. It doesn't matter who they play. Like they beat good teams. It doesn't make any sense. I have no clue what it is.
And
Yeah,
it's not
I
like
had
anyone.
I had Nuggets Kings in the conference finals
Oh, okay. Yeah.
because I thought regardless of Ja being healthy, I thought the Lakers would win this series because of the fact that the Lakers genuinely like regardless of who they have played post All-Star break, they genuinely do have a good defense. Like their defense is actually very good. And Memphis's half-court offense sucks. And with no Steven Adams, no Brandon Clark, I thought the paint would just get demolished by Anthony Davis and LeBron. Like they would just continually keep attacking it. And expecting some ref ball into play with Jaren Jackson Jr. getting in foul trouble, but that hasn't happened so far through the first couple of games. I thought he would, be a non-factor defensively because he wouldn't be able to be physical at all. That's why I chose them. But I mean, if Anthony Davis has 13 on 4-14 every
Right.
other game, we'll see. we'll see, because that was not the greatest game. Also, and then I had the Kings in the conference finals because we look at Lakers Kings in the second round. I think that it's much easier for a really good offense to break a good defense like the Kings versus the Lakers, Kings offense versus Lakers defense, than it is for a really bad offense like the Lakers to beat a really bad defense like the Kings, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
Kings are also an elite home team. I would just think that's a different matchup. Like they don't have anyone defensively to guard Monk or to guard Fox in the way that they've been playing so far. I feel like I feel pretty good about that prediction at least.
Yeah. 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 Anthony Davis really hasn't been good like for the past couple of weeks. As the Lakers have pushed into the playoffs, like 21 points, 17, 14, 16, 24, 22, 13. Like those are every game since April 4th. And he was absolute non-factor in this game.
Yeah.
He had a stretch in game 1 where it felt like he kind of took over, especially defensively. He had 7 blocks in that game, but like
he had 5 today too.
Yeah.
Like, he's defensively he's been incredible this series, but
Yeah.
offensively I don't trust him as the offensive number one. Like I don't think at any point in his career he's proven he can take a team far with that. Rui Hachimura playing like an all-star definitely helps the Lakers.
I know.
And Xavier Tillman having 22 and 13 also helps.
Yeah.
But all right, that was all I wanted to know. I wanted to know what your picks were. I feel like our picks for the awards would be like the exact same.
Yeah, probably.
Didn't want to take up too much time with that, but yeah, that's gonna be it for me. Unless you have anything else, I think we're all done.
Yeah, it was good to be back for sure.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do some more consistent stuff.
Yeah,
at least predicting the Nuggets going deep in the playoffs, so we won't stop basketball content after one round like last year. But yeah.